Resident Evil 5, Capcom's first mainline co-op game, which means that I won't be going at this platinum alone. With 61 trophies to obtain through both the main story and both DLCs, I will be joined by my good friend Kaiser99. Now surely things go a lot smoother playing with Kyle instead of the AI, right? There's a thing! Ow!
Your body went in.
Oh, there's another one! Go.
Oh shit!
See, you got absolutely nothing to worry about. Anyway, let's jump into this co-op chaos. Welcome to Resident Evil 5's Platinum playthrough. We begin the game over in Africa as we join the man himself, Chris Redfield, and then his newly appointed partner, Sheva Olimar. The two are investigating the whereabouts of a Ricardo Irving, who's been smuggling some sort of bio-organic weapons. We would ask the locals, but they seem to be preoccupied. We meet up with this guy called Reynard, who was the one who provided us with the information about our mission, but more importantly, some weapons and supplies to get us started. These are needed since as we start to explore building by building, we witness something that we really didn't want to see. Now, because of our intrusion, we witnessed the brutal execution of Reynard before then attracting the attention to ourselves, so we must fend off this horde.
Okay, right, let me just say that wasn't my fault.
Flashback.
Look it out. No, the other
Oh
one.
shit, I jumped out the window, shit!
Wow, 20 minutes into Veteran and we are already struggling? This is going to be a long one. Luckily, our second attempt went a lot smoother whilst we just abused this ladder strap. We were able to fend them off long enough for backup to arrive and to finish the job, ending the first level and popping my first trophy of the game. Now, since this is the first RE game with co-op, we can buy, sell and trade items between levels to prepare for future challenges. Now, in the next level, we face fewer infected enemies, giving me a chance to hone my knife skills, and manage to score a triple grenade kill. You'll find various weapons throughout the game, but they can't be traded, only repurchased from the store. We do manage to find the last surviving Alpha Team soldier, but unfortunately Irving escapes as we try to pursue him. We then encountered the boss responsible for all this bloodshed, and with very limited ammo and poor accuracy, our main goal was to lure the creature into this furnace and then burn it. Doing this, we managed to defeat it on our first try and completed chapter 1-2. Now, still baffled as to what we just fought, our mission was to continue looking for Irving, which meant fighting our way through these infected hounds, dodging many claymore traps that Irving had left behind for us, and running into oncoming traffic.
Nice.
That didn't work! Oh!
What?
Why was I the only one that shot a barrel there, by the way? Hey, at least my barrel exploding skills paid off by me unlocking the Baptism of Fire trophy for killing 3 enemies in one explosion. We do end up finding the helicopter that saved us earlier in a massive burning heap, just like its pilot. But then I found out the brutal way that there are quick time events in this game. Because, you know, I was just meant to know that. Good thing that Delta Team showed up at the perfect time to save our skin. The captain of the team, Josh Stone, gives us some more information on the mission where amongst it, we see a picture of Jill, with a brief flashback to a previous situation between the two. I'll cover that later on since we pop another chapter trophy. The next level has us travelling through this abandoned looking mine. Well, I say abandoned, but of course there are many more infected, and because it's pitch black in here, Kyle was in charge of lighting the way forward, and this did help me get the exploding heads trophy for getting 20 headshots. We do eventually make it out of the mines where we meet Irving face to face for the first time, and just by looking at him I can tell he's shifty. But we soon get interrupted by this masked figure as they escape with Irving. They are the worst of our problems since after Kyle performs some pinpoint accurate sniping with his brand new sniper, and I choose to be a bit more hands-on by defeating 20 enemies with physical attacks, we then run into our second boss of the game. Now, although this genetically modified bat looks all sorts of nasty, it's probably the easiest boss to face. With plenty of these proximity mines for us to place down, then luring the bat into them, we can stun it long enough to pepper it with enough bullets. Repeating this a few times will eventually defeat the bat and put it down for good. Then we get picked up by a Delta Team soldier, ending the level and popping our next chapter trophy. Whilst hitching a ride with the soldier, we then have to use each of these turrets to fight off the many swarms of enemies. But then eventually we come face to face with a boss reminiscent of El Gigante from Resident Evil 4. Obviously it's nowhere as strong since we have these two turrets, so by shooting its weak points when exposed, we then defeated it. Unfortunately, with Delta Team killed, and with Sheva hesitant to continue, Chris insists on searching for Jill, so Sheva decides to stay as we finish the chapter. As the two reach this swamp-looking area, we learn in a previous flashback that Jill sacrificed herself while she and Chris were after Wesker, leaving her fate very uncertain. And then Sheva joins because her parents actually died from the bioweapon testing, giving both the characters personal reasons to work well together. Now, due to the change in scenery, which again is very reminiscent of the lake sequence from Resident Evil 4, we need to find these 4 slate pieces to use as keys, whilst we narrowly avoid some aggressive crocodiles, and then after collecting all 4 pieces and unlocking the gate, the entire village ambushes us. Kyle does take the brunt of it, which allowed me to get the lifeguard trophy for saving him 10 times. We then managed to fend them off and escape with a few cuts and bruises. Beginning the next level on a good note by shooting this guy's own dynamite, which unlocked the fireworks trophy, we then run into Josh to find him alive, sadly the last one left of his team. They agreed to let him find a way for us to get out of here whilst the other two continued the search to try and find Irving. Good thing that he isn't too far ahead, as we spot the masked stranger taking off before finding that Irving had actually lured us into a trap, booby-trapping the entire dock with explosives and putting us against the clock.
Big man.
Oh, there's a thing! There's a... No! There's a thing! Ow!
Your body went into...
Oh, there's another one! Go.
Oh, shit!
Don't worry, we have plenty of time to escape before the entire facility blows up. We soon catch up to the boat where we come face to face with Irving once again, and although this was supposed to be a scary and terrifying mutation, both of us just couldn't take him seriously. Where'd he go? He went flying. Oh my god.
Oh, Jesus!
What is that? Like a little baby. I mean, how can you not laugh at that? Anyway, it's a pretty simple boss fight since we damage Irving using these 4 machine turrets, which are placed on each corner of the boat. Firstly by shooting these tentacles, and the weak point also on his forehead. Then after a few repeats of this, he will eventually show himself where you can land many bullets on him. Doing this a few times will end up killing him for good. And may I say, so far we haven't really run into any hard bosses. Yeah, surely I won't regret saying that. Upon dying, he purposely points us in the right direction before hearing of Chris's name, which he seems to recognise. Anyway, that ends off chapter 3 popping its trophy. The start of chapter 4 has us venturing through these caves, which I'll say definitely is my least favourite in the game. Just because you've got these creepy ass spiders that leech onto you if you're not quick enough. Yeah, I don't mind spiders, but I prefer regular sized ones. It's a good thing I had a flashbang save though. Now, these next few areas have us traverse through this underground civilization, which, as you guessed, is populated by more of those infected that we met back at the swamp. After fending them off for the time being, our way forward is blocked, so we must activate these 5 different coloured switches to allow us to progress. Didn't help that after flicking the 5th switch, another one of these mutated bats ambushed us, but with some slightly better weaponry, we made quick work of it. Then, as we end off the level, we witness the one who has been behind this entire operation, and just by the outfit, I could already guess who it was. Mr. Albert Wesker himself. Well, with all these flashbacks we were getting, it all makes sense now. We pushed through yet another massive area, this time finding 3 emblems to unlock the door forwards, but also whilst avoiding these light beams that do a ton of damage if you're not careful. And clearly Kyle was getting a bit too handsy with the locals to even need to worry. The final area in this gauntlet has us stuck in this room with a bunch of reflective mirrors, with a light that has to be redirected to the switch. Okay, so do we have to...
Mirror.
Ow! You just killed me. You just... Yeah, cheers for that, Kyle. My love for puzzles and Kyle's determination doesn't take us that long to get through all 3 areas, before we then come across an altar that was beaming with flowers. Turns out a certain corporation has been using these for their own personal use, ending up in this old umbrella factory, which is now being used by Tricell. After finding some poor locked up test subjects, we run into some familiar creatures I know all too well. Goddamn lickers. I mean, nowhere near as scary as the ones I fought in RE2, but numbers wise they bumped that up to the max, so I did what I had to do. Upon accessing one of Tricell's terminals, we then find proof that Jill was once held here as a test subject. This gives Chris some hope in finding her, but unfortunately we aren't alone here. Oh! I kind of feel like I pressed it. Yeah, I'm really not great at these surprise QuickTime events. Now, as much as I want to describe this boss as difficult and challenging, we again managed to kill it first time, just by shooting its weak point in its leg so that it's stunned long enough to then shoot it in its mouth, before it then crashes down to the depths below. We then have a brief argument with a lady we saw earlier with Wesker, this being Exela Gion, who suggests that we should leave, and although we demand some answers about Jill, she declines any knowledge of who Jill is. Obviously, we see through her lies, so we press onwards. As we make our way deeper into the facility, Chris and Sheva overhear Exela and Wesker, which pushes Chris to keep going, given his history with him. We then encounter these very deadly creatures called Reapers that can instantly kill you if you're not too careful. I learned that the hard way. But the real challenge awaits us with the toughest boss in the game. Now remember the leech-like boss that we burned earlier? This time we fought its tougher older brother. Now by using incendiary grenades, these explosive canisters, and also this flamethrower, we tried to expose its weak points. But unfortunately the fight felt pretty buggy, as they just sometimes wouldn't appear once we'd already flamed it enough. So after several failed attempts, just to save time and effort, I resorted to use a one-shot RPG kill to finish off the level. It was a pretty sucky way to end the fight, but I did what had to be done. After returning to the surface via a different elevator, and encountering one last group of lickers, the game escalates as we meet Exela again, this time with the masked stranger. Wesker soon appears as well, revealing that Jill has been the mysterious figure all along. Although I did suspect the twist, I still don't understand the reasons for her joining Wesker. Now, seeing as Sheva has no personal attachment to Jill, Kyle decided to take matters into his own hands, which I was fully behind.
Yes!
Oh, nice. Good shots. Oh, wait.
You didn't want us to kill her?
Yeah, it turns out the first phase, you just need to survive against both of them for 7 minutes. That then begins phase 2, where after some more brawling and trying to put some sense into her, she reveals the gadget that's been controlling her the entire time. So it looks like we need to rip that thing off of her. Oh wait, hold on, hang on.
My bad. Maybe I'm jealous. Maybe I want Chris, alright?
Damn it, Kyle, you're so trigger happy. So yes, we had to work together to save her, and although there is a missable trophy that you can get here, we unfortunately missed it, so we'd have to clear that up in our post-game playthrough. So it didn't take us long before we saved her from Wesker's control. Now, she may be alive, but she is in no fit state to go anywhere, so she pleads for the both of us to head on and to put a stop to Wesker, ending Chapter 5. Now, on to the 6th and final chapter of the game, where we have to fight our way through Wesker's infected minions in hopes to find them. We enter one of the rooms to find Excella trying to escape with some briefcases, in which she drops one whilst fleeing and leaving behind a bunch of syringes. Seeing that we are much more of a threat than she thought, the alarms are raised as a bunch of well-armed infected try to stop us. Even this chunky-ass dude with some mean machinery. Yeah, not the best time for my controller to disconnect, but Kyle came in clutch to finish off the level. It's a good thing now that my controller was on charge, since after finding this massive pile of bodies, Excella shows up and limps over to us. Turns out she has been injected with some of that Ouroboros goodness, so it looks like another classic betrayal by Wesker. Surprise, surprise. She mutates into this massive abomination which I couldn't even begin to describe it, but seeing as it's 10 times the size as them, they bolt away to regroup. Because our current arsenal is lacking a little bit, just like our last fight with the Ouroboros mutation, this time we get to use this lock-on laser launcher.
Dropping stuff, the sludges.
Oh! Hey, you can tell I was pretty excited to use it, and it packs one hell of a punch. Now, if you do take too long faffing around like we did, then you'll be instantly killed and crushed, so we have to be a lot quicker with our reactions. Now, these buggers that just kept stunning me whilst trying to lock on just made things much more difficult than they needed to be. But after landing a few consecutive shots on the beast, we killed it and unlocked our penultimate chapter trophy. Now, after that fight, Jill calls with a plan to defeat Wesker, telling us that his strength comes from a controlled virus, but an overdose of serum actually weakens him, which we already have some thanks to Excella. Now, I will say that this final section of the game is much tougher. Multiple attempts were needed just because of these Reapers and the endless amounts of enemies. As you can see by not one but two of these chunky brutes, I chose to be smart about it by using my funds to buy another RPG, which we took out both the minigun brutes in one shot. Now, onto the finale of the playthrough, as we find both Wesker and his plane stacked with missiles containing the Ouroboros virus. Thing is though, we still can't hurt him yet. Our only way of administering the serum is to lose his line of sight on us. Then with all the RPGs that are scattered around the area, we managed to stun him long enough for me to restrain him and then for Kyle to plunge the syringe into his chest. Obviously things aren't as easy as that, because Wesker attempts to escape on the plane, but the two aren't far behind as they board it. 5 minutes away from his destination, there couldn't be any more mistakes made. We had to lock in. Ah, someone wasn't ready!
I did not see anything!
Okay, maybe we should just let him do it, because clearly me and Kyle aren't focusing hard enough. 4th time lucky, we send Wesker flying out as we land into a volcano. We couldn't have crashed anywhere else. It's just our luck. Ah, shit. A very angry looking Wesker turns it up a notch by using the Ouroboros virus to turn himself into this badass version. No, Chris, you're meant to be punching Wesker, not the damn boulder. God, his knuckles are going to kill after doing that. Once we manage to regroup with each other, after doing a certain amount of damage to him, his heart hit point then gets revealed, and I waste no time in dealing as much damage as I can. Which in the end we managed to submerge him in the lava, and oh, what great timing for both Josh and Jill to show up to rescue us. But with one last ditch attempt to stop us, in classic Resident Evil fashion, we end this once and for all.
Ready, partner? Locked and loaded. Suck on this, Wesker. The time's up, you
Fire! That's right, red RPGs as well, they're even more powerful.
Oh my god, take his head off!
God damn! The 4 fly off into the sunset as we end off this incredible journey, obtaining our very last chapter-based trophy, and then the veteran, soldier, and recruit trophies fairly soon after. Now, along with the main story, there are also 2 separate DLCs to get through. Lost in Nightmares, which takes us through the Chris and Jill encounter that happened with Wesker 3 years before Resident Evil 5. Then Desperate Escape, which has us play as Jill and Josh, and their reasons for how they saved us at the end of the main game. So playing them in chronological order, we decided to play the Lost in Nightmares DLC first. And because they are around an hour each, with 5 trophies tied to them, I'm just going to whiz through them so we can move on to the post-story trophies. So this DLC has us run through the entirety of the Spencer estate in hopes to try and find the Umbrella founder. We get a ton of callbacks to the first Resident Evil game, like classic puzzles with getting Jill to play the piano opening this secret wall, the mansion which looks almost identical to the first game's location. Even the door opening sequences were memorable too. They do mix it up a bit with a new underground area where we had to kill these 4 enemies by crushing them under these spike traps, with each dropping a shard to act as a key. Now I say that this area was also memorable, but for some much funnier reasons.
He's coming. He's coming. Obviously, don't crush me, though.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Ah! What? You just killed me!
Oh. Hey, I can only apologise, but it was worth it. The end has us come face to face with Wesker, a similar fight to the one that we had at the end of Chapter 5, where all we had to do was survive long enough again to cue the ending, where Jill sacrifices herself to save Chris, finishing the Lost Nightmares DLC and popping the Must Have Got Lost trophy. Now, the Desperate Escape DLC is definitely the weakest of the two, since Josh finds Jill after Chris and Sheva leave her, and then the two agree to help each other in their escape. Now, although right off the bat I managed to deflect a bowgun arrow with my knife, unlocking the trophy Be the Knife, there isn't really much to talk about for this DLC. You just get a non-stop wave of enemies thrown towards you, until we get to this final section where we had to survive for a certain amount of time before the chopper that was coming to save us arrived. Ah, poor Doug, man. Seems like anyone flying a helicopter in these games don't stand a chance. Oh, I miss Mike. Shortly after, the Getaway trophy pops, finishing off the second and final DLC. So with the main story completed along with both DLCs, and a total of 32 trophies obtained out of a possible 61, my first matter of business was to start up another playthrough on the easiest difficulty, going after both the Badge of Honor and They Belong in a Museum trophies for getting all of the 30 BSAA emblems and all 50 treasures. Thank God they carry over to other playthroughs, but we'll worry about those towards the end of the playthrough. Now, during this run, I was making sure that I was grinding the few weapon trophies I had left, like getting 30 kills with the stun rod, the Gatling gun, and the longbow. Then after a few environmental kills, like shooting this transformer to kill the Magini, these oil canisters being set alight to kill 3 at the same time, stopping an armoured truck by shooting at the driver first, and then finally the lead aspirin trophy for hitting a headshot on a jumping enemy. I then also cleared up some of the miscellaneous trophies, starting off with the Jill and Wesker fight, where he mentions at the start of the fight about only having 7 minutes to spare. So by using an RPG shot on him with his back turned, you could do enough damage to him which will actually cut the fight short and pop the bad blood trophy. Then in Jill's fight, you have to make sure that when you rip that controlling device off of her, you must do it as a team, with one of you restraining her and then the other pulling off the device. This will then unlock the Masters of Removing trophy. Next up was the Works trophy for chaining a maximum number of combos in one go. This is easily done on this bigger enemy since 3 melee attacks will do the job. Lastly, the Who Do You Trust trophy, where the description says to build up a certain level of trust with your partner, but that can be very misleading. By partner, it actually means playing with the AI. For this, you must thank the AI when they save you by pressing circle. It's not really explained as to how many times you have to do this, but I think around 10 times pots the trophy. Now back to the collectibles. As I said, there are 30 emblems in total, which for the most part, they're not too difficult to spot, especially because of the colour. So once you destroy all 30 of them, the Badge of Honor trophy pops. Then upon picking up all 50 types of treasures, I got the They Belong in a Museum trophy too. Along with those, there are some other items to find and unlock for some other collectible-like trophies, like finding all 4 types of eggs at the same time. Yeah, don't forget to kill an enemy using the rotten egg for another trophy too. And then because I already had all 30 emblems, that unlocked the last set of outfits, which also unlocks the All Dressed Up trophy. Lastly, all I had left to get was the figures. So once you do that and all abort, you get the trophy Their Action Figures. Now you think all of that was a hassle? Well, now I get to the grindiest part of the plat, that being the weapons. For the first task, I had to obtain all 28 weapons. Once all 28 are obtained, the stockpile trophy will pop, but that's not the worst of it. The Take It to the Max trophy requires every single weapon fully upgraded. That means spending a whopping 1.4 million gold to achieve this. That's like 8 playthroughs worth of grinding. The things I do for these videos. Chapter 5 for me had the most treasure to get, so although I was sat there for hours replaying the same levels, the trophy does eventually pop. Then before we finish off this platinum playthrough, I ran through both DLCs a few more times to clear up the 8 trophies that I was missing, both having an S rank completion trophy, which you could just breeze through on easy. Then with each having 2 missable trophies, I got both the Wish Upon a Star trophy for destroying all 18 score stars, and then the Kung Fu Fighting trophy for inflicting a set amount of damage on Wesker. Then in Desperate Escape, I killed these 3 Megaphone Maginis, which unlocked the Shoot the Messenger trophy, and then the Way of the Warrior trophy for killing 150 enemies in a single playthrough. Lastly, they required one last playthrough on professional difficulty, obviously nowhere near as long as the main game, so it wasn't long before I popped both trophies. So with all that done, all I had left to do was to complete the game on professional, and for the most part, I could breeze right through it. With an infinite ammo L-Hawk for basic enemies, and then an infinite rocket launcher to one-shot all the bosses, made the playthrough a lot easier. I will say when doing this, beware the Wesker and Jill fight. The AI will constantly get shot at and killed over and over again. And even after getting past Wesker, Jill doesn't waste any time in rinsing you with bullets. Then towards the end of the game, Wesker's final fight is pretty easy since you can pretty much just stun lock him by peppering him with deagle shots to his heart. Then with a final duo RPG to the head, we finish the game on professional difficulty for a final time, unlocking the War Hero trophy, which then pops the Resident Evil 5 Platinum trophy. So what are my thoughts on this platinum? Well, ignoring the incredibly grindy weapons, for the most part it wasn't all that bad. Professional was diabolical at certain points, but like the other Resident Evil games, good old infinite ammo always plays a massive part in it. The collectibles are pretty simple to get, plus playing with Carl gave me another set of eyes to make sure that we didn't miss any. Overall, although I do still prefer the remakes, I feel that Resident Evil 5 doesn't get enough credit with what Capcom tried to do. Now, although I have been attempting to obtain Resident Evil 6's platinum, the game just doesn't hit anywhere near as good as the rest of the series, so I'll be saving that for its own special type of video in months to come. As to what video is coming next, all I'm going to say is that it's Game of the Year worthy, so either way it's going to be a banger, and that's all I'll say on it. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please make sure you do like it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.